Hi, what's up you guys? How's it going? Welcome to Vlogmas day 21. In today's video, I'm gonna show you a quick stretching routine which if you do every day is gonna help you get the splits really quickly. And when it comes to stretching, consistency is key. Anyone can do the splits and I promise you anyone can do them. It doesn't matter if you're naturally flexible or not, as long as you stretch every day or every other day, as long as you do it regularly, you're gonna get the splits if that's something that you want to do. And of course, the more often you stretch, the faster you get them. I think it's a very common misconception that if you're not flexible, you cannot get the splits. As with almost anything in life, if you really want to do it and you work hard for it, you can get it. Of course, it's going to be easier for people who are naturally flexible and they might get them faster and easier, but still, anyone can learn how to do the splits. I will share with you my daily stretching routine for like flexibility, and I would usually stretch after I run, and that's actually a very important point. If you're doing any other sports like running or swimming, or if you're going to the gym and you want to be flexible, you really have to stretch every time. After I started running, I noticed that my legs were getting quite stiff and I do need to stretch every time after I run. And generally you have to stretch after you run anyway, but if you want to get flexible or remain flexible when you work out, you have to stretch after you work out 100%, because you're gonna start losing that flexibility pretty quickly. The routine that I'm gonna show you is pretty quick. It shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes. That's how long I normally spend if I don't have time and I just wanna kind of get it done. I normally spend 10 to 15 minutes. I spend more only on days when I really feel like stretching. So this is what we're doing today, and this wasn't going to be part of Vlogmas originally because at this point I was meant to be in Bulgaria, and the rest of the Vlogmas stuff that I had planned were related to Bulgaria and traveling to Bulgaria and spending Christmas with my family. And because of the tier 4 lockdown in the UK, I cannot fly and none of that is gonna happen, so I have to come up with, I don't know, some alternative content for you guys. And I thought, hey, I stretch almost every day anyway, might as well share some of that with you. And yeah, please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and make sure to stay until the end to see what we got in the advent calendars today. First things first, we have to warm up, and that is an absolute must. Obviously, if you've just worked out, you don't really need to warm up for this, but if you're just gonna stretch, you really do need to get your body warm, because it's gonna help your muscles be more flexible, it's gonna hurt less, and of course it's reducing your risk of injuries. Do jumping jacks or run around in a circle, whatever you want to do. My personal favorite is definitely jumping jacks, but you can do whatever you want as long as you get your body warm. Okay, I think we're warm enough now. I'm gonna use this angle now because it's gonna give me a bit more space. And now we're going to do what I call a general stretch, which is just a minute of stretching every part of your body just to get your body prepped and loosen it up a little bit. We're gonna start by stretching our arms up and then leaning right or left, depending how you see it. And then the same on the other side. And once again. Then we're gonna lean forward, and it is very important to keep your back straight for this one. So what I like to do is grab my hands behind my back to ensure that my back is staying straight rather than doing this. You shouldn't be doing this. You should be keeping a straight back, and if you can only go like this far, it's still better to go this far with a straight back than to do this. This is bad for your lower back, so don't do this. Just grab your hands behind your back and just lean forward as far as you can, and you should feel the stretch in the back of your legs, like in your hamstrings. If you can go low enough and you can keep your back straight, then you can place your hands on the floor. Rock sideways and back and forth. Just remember to keep your knees straight and your back straight. Once we've done that, we can turn right, left, it doesn't matter, whichever leg you prefer. And we're gonna do the exact same thing. Imagine that you're trying to get your belly button stick to your leg rather than your head or your shoulders. You don't want to do this. You want to keep your back straight, and just to make sure you're keeping your back straight, you can grab your hands behind your back again, and if that's as low as you can go, that's fine. If you can go lower, then go lower. Then we can bring it to the front once again, And repeat the exact same thing for the other leg. For the next exercise, you can grab onto something if you cannot keep your balance, and we're just gonna rotate the hips to loosen up those joints. And of course, repeat on the other leg. Next thing we're gonna do is dip, and this is basically prep for your middle split. Go as low as you can. You don't need to push yourself if it hurts too much. Make sure your knees are pointing outwards, and try and make sure that your knees are right above your ankles. What I normally do is twist a little bit to stretch out my back as well, and just go very gentle. And then you can rock sideways. Now we're going down on the floor. If you have a yoga mat, definitely grab that, or try to sit on a carpet or basically something soft. First thing we're gonna do is, I think this is called like a butterfly stretch, I don't know. The aim is to get your knees down on the floor, but you have to keep your back straight. Don't do this. Try to sit up. Even if this is as low as you can go, it's important that you keep your back straight. Always go as low as you can. If you can go as low as the ground, then you can start leaning forward, but again, don't do this. Try to keep your back straight. Sometimes it helps to put your hands behind you. So after we're done with this, we're gonna straighten our legs. Probably the only stretch that I actually don't like, because I do enjoy stretching, but it needs to be done. So you put your legs together straight and then you lean forward. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this stretch. And the aim again is to like get your belly button to stick to your thighs rather than get your head. Like, try to not curve yourself, try to keep straight. I don't like this one. For this stretch, I normally try to hold it for at least 30 seconds, but to be completely honest, I hate it so much that sometimes I don't even do that long, but ideally you would hold it for at least 30 seconds. Now that we're done with this, we're gonna go into our straddle, and a straddle is basically this position. Important bit about this stretch is to try and keep your knees always pointing upward. My hips are slightly turned in, if that means anything to you, but the point is that for me it's very difficult to keep my knees pointing upward. But that's how you should do the stretch. And if you see me rolling my knees a little bit, that is not what you want to do. You want to try to keep them always pointing up. Your legs should be as wide as possible, but you should still feel comfortable, and you should be able to hopefully sit up. So we're gonna start doing this, and go as low as you can. You should feel the stretch right here on the side of your body. And then the other way. If you can reach your leg, grab it. If not, just basically stay where you can get. And the next thing we're gonna do is lean forward towards each leg. And once again, the point is to try and get your belly to your leg, but do not curve your back. And then we repeat one more, and this time we can combine them. If you cannot go this low, you can just stay here or wherever you are. As long as you're doing it, you're doing great. The next thing is to lean forward and hold that stretch for 1 minute. Go as low as you can. Like, you can go here, you can go here, and if you can lay on the floor, which is what I'm gonna do. And you need to hold that for 1 minute. The next thing is to actually try and do the middle split, and they're not the most pleasant thing to do in my opinion. In order to do the middle split, you can go two ways. If your straddle stretch is pretty good, you can kind of just do the straddle stretch and then shift your weight forward so that you basically get into a position of the middle split. And if your straddle is pretty far, what you can do is go from the top where you just do this and then you go as low as you can. So basically do whichever one you prefer. I personally always like to go through the straddle because I feel like it's a bit more gradual. If you feel like you're super far from the middle splits, then you can just keep stretching your straddle position and work on that, and then once you get a bit closer, then you can start working on your middle splits. And again, hold this for 1 minute. Now that we have the middle splits out of the way, we're gonna go into the left and right split. One of your side is normally going to be better, like one of your leg would be the dominant one, and I'm a lefty, which means my left side is more flexible, my left split is better, and that's why I always start with the right one, because it's more pleasant for me. So I'm gonna start with the right one, but feel free to start with either one. We're gonna repeat the exact same thing for both legs, so it doesn't really matter which one you start with. Since we're already sitting, we get into this funky position, and you can go either this way, or if that's too uncomfortable, you can go this way. It doesn't matter. And the point is to stretch the bottom of your leg. You wanna lean forward and try to get your belly stick to the top of your thigh. Again, if you cannot reach your leg, or if you cannot go all the way down, just go as far as you can. Once we're done with this, we are gonna go into a lunge. The most important thing is to keep your knee right above your ankle. It shouldn't be this. This is bad. You can put your hands on the floor to help yourself with the balance, or you can just go like this, whatever is easier for you. The main point is try to get your back leg straight. And if it's straight, try to dip as much as you can. You should be feeling the stretch at the front of your hip. And once you've got that, if you feel comfortable, you can place your knee on the floor. Try to stretch this hip even more, like place your hand on your butt, that helps a little bit. And just try to really dip. And you should feel even deeper stretch here, but if the first lunge was too difficult for you, then you can just skip this one. Then place your hands on the floor if you can, straighten the front leg and go down. If you cannot do that, you can just keep straight and just do this instead. And if you can go low, go low. With this exercise, it's important that you keep your hips and shoulders square. So try not to twist sideways like this. Try to be completely straight and go as low as you can. And then you can repeat the whole thing again. I usually do it twice. If you want to get really advanced, once you're in this position, you can even grab your back leg and just stretch out your quads. The next thing you're gonna do is the split. Just as you're in this position, straighten your leg and just slide as far as you can go. If that's as far as you can go, that's fine. Just go as low as you can, and you're gonna hold that for 1 minute. And here's something that I think is worth pointing out, and I think this is a common mistake. A lot of people, because they want to get the splits faster, start sitting sideways. Instead of doing this where you're completely centered, a lot of people would kind of sit sideways like this, because your butt is touching the floor faster, so it gives you the impression that you're doing the splits. This is not correct, and you should be completely upright. It's better to be like here, but do it correctly, than to do this. This is wrong. So make sure you're always centered, completely upright. So we are gonna do this for 1 minute, and keep your back straight as well, as much as you can. Here comes the second tip that I want to give you, and I think this is not that obvious. If you're really close to sitting on the floor, like you're almost there, it can become very difficult to actually get there. Like the last 5 or 10% are super difficult, because if you imagine, most of your legs are already on the floor, so the friction is a lot higher, so it's just difficult for you to physically push down. I don't know if that makes sense, but if you've ever been really close to a split but not quite, you know what I'm talking about. Once you're like maybe this far off the ground, what you should do is lift your front leg just a little bit, as if you're trying to do an over split, and that's gonna help you just physically push yourself into a straight position. Put a yoga block or a pillow or something. You don't want to use something super high, just pick something that's relatively close to the ground. Get into your split position and hold that for 1 minute. Once you're done with this, and you remove whatever object you were on, you're gonna be able to slide right into the split. Hold your split for 1 minute, regardless of how high or low you can get. And that's it. Normally I'll go for a second minute to practice my oversplits, but I've just done that, so I'm gonna skip it. If you want to, of course, you can do more, like you can keep going for as long as you want. So we're gonna move on to the other leg and we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna start with stretching out the front leg, which for me this time is the left leg. Either do this or this, whatever feels comfortable to you. By the way, don't forget to breathe. If you're in so much pain that it's hard to breathe, then you need to relax your stretch a little bit because that might be too difficult for you. You should be able to breathe normally. Now that we have stretched the front leg a little bit, we're gonna go into our lunge. You can either hold on to the floor or not. Make sure you have a right angle at your knee and keep the back leg straight if you can. If not, do as much as you can. And then try to focus more on the hip of your back leg. And then repeat one more time. And the only thing left is to go into your split. Again, make sure your hips are square, make sure you're not sitting sideways and you're not twisting. Go as low as you can, and if you're really close, put your front leg on something slightly higher. And we're gonna hold this for 1 minute as well. As I said, I normally do a second minute doing an oversplit, and if you're not ready for an oversplit, you can just repeat the previous one. If it's like a quick stretch after I run or I just don't have enough time, I normally go 2 blocks. If I have more time, I try to go at least 3 blocks and hold for another minute. And I guess this is it. Normally this routine takes me no more than 15 minutes. Now it's taking me a bit longer because I'm filming, but usually it's pretty quick. If I warmed up beforehand, like if it's after running, I can usually do it in 10. And if you do this every day, I promise you, you'll get the splits within 1 or 2 months. Stretching is incredibly easy. The only thing you need to do is just do it regularly. There isn't anything that sophisticated in terms of technique. You need to protect your back by keeping it straight. You need to make sure you're not twisting. But other than that, as long as you're doing it every day or as often as you can, then you're gonna get your splits. So I hope you found it useful. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want to see some other type of stretching routine. Now that we're done with the main event, let's go ahead and open the advent calendars and see what we got today. I'm gonna start with Harry Potter. Okay, I don't want to take it out of the box because these little things always break my nails. So we've got this little bracelet charm again, and I think that's the third one that we have. Next, Makeup Revolution. For day 21 we have a lip liner, and it's a pretty nice color, I'd say. And finally we have Friends. Because the Friends box is falling apart, the days are all mixed up because they kind of just all fell to the bottom of the box, and this was supposed to be for day 21, but I know I've already showed you this. I have no idea what day it was, so sorry. Anyway, this is the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you tomorrow for Vlogmas day 22. Bye guys.